Now I'm coming on to reasons of law of demand. Now next is we will come to see there was a question. Please now come back to our discussions right now, as we have to optimize our time. That is the economics that I am going to use out here, and that economics is absolutely essential because it's a tough and a technical subject to deal with. Next point that we are supposed to discuss now is exceptions of law of demand. As we all understand, exceptions are are referred to here as those commodities which do not follow law of demand. For these kind of commodities, it is a reverse phenomena of that when prices go up for these commodities, their demand also goes up in the market. Okay, when prices for this commodity comes down in the market, their demand also comes down in the market. So there can be many exceptions that are there in the market. Just for the discussion purpose, I am keeping into consideration three products, whereas it can be applied to various other products. Like someone out of you said iPhone 5, for which whatever is the availability, whatever is the price, there is quite a good demand. So that can fall under what we term as exception of law of demand due to certain certain factors. There are products which become exception to law of demand. Now these factors can be any factors. For example, in iPhone, you can say it is the technology, the quality that drives the demand, not the price. It is the quality and the technology that drives the demand, not the price. Okay, so again, these fundamentals can be applied, and the hype. Yes, of course, it is the hype, the features that will lead to even for a higher price people are willing to pay more. Yes, there can be n number of factors which can lead which can make a product exception of law of demand. Okay, but here when we are going to discuss this exception of law of demand, again we will come back to only two factors, demand and price. Please, now when we are going to discuss this, because it is about law of demand, it is only about demand and price that we are going to talk about. Now we have identified three exceptions of law of demand. One is given goods, another one is status goods, and the next one is share market also sometimes behave as an exception of law of demand. First we are going to come to given goods. Now given goods have been there for long. They are going to stay for a longer time. Given is name of the economist. Okay, given goods means inferior quality products. Okay, now what is this inferior quality product? If I ask you what is inferior product, can you answer me this? What is inferior commodity? Okay, you can say China makes commodities which are bad in quality, that is why inferior. Okay, low quality, you can say inferior refers to low quality of commodities. That is number one fundamental. Number two, we need to know out here is that inferior is a relative term. We cannot say something is inferior unless and until we know what is superior to it. So it is a relative term. And when we talk about, say, inferior commodities, then of course there are certain income levels where these inferior commodities are still being consumed. For example, in rural India, okay, we still have a combination of wheat and jowar and bajra, which is taken up for the day-to-day food items, and which are consumed. So it is basically, there are certain sections of the society, because they can't afford a superior quality, they still consume a combination of superior and inferior commodities. Like for example, if we talk about, say, certain products, it is BD to cigarettes is inferior. We talk about food items, then jowar and bajra can be inferior to wheat. Okay, certain qualities of rice is inferior to certain better qualities of rice. So we can bring out, there are certain sections of the society which need to consume, because of the scarcity, certain inferior commodities also. Basically, this concept was given by Mr. Giffen, who actually was an economist from Ireland, and he actually studied the food consumption habits of poor people of Ireland, and based on his concept he came out with the idea that given commodities or inferior commodities are exception to law of demand. Of course, this fundamental and concept can be applied to many other areas, many other products. To understand this given concept, I have made an original example for you to understand. This is not given in any book, but just out of my mind I have done this. See, basically he analyzed consumption pattern. So let us analyze the consumption pattern of a poor family in Ireland, where now you can have a look at the slide, where we assume that family consumes 1 kg food item every day, which is mandatory. 1 kg food every day is required by the family, and a combination of meat and potato is used by the family, and they have income of rupees. I have converted the currency here. Income of rupees 100 that they can devote on food articles. They only earn rupees 100. The consumption of meat and potato is there, because potato is 10 rupees per kg. It is wrongly written, it is 10 rupees per kg, and meat is 40 rupees per kg. So obviously we can make out the consumption pattern is that from Monday to Saturday they consume potato, and on Sunday they consume meat. That will be overall 100 rupees. 10 into 6, 60 rupees, plus 1 day meat will be 40 rupees. It is 100 rupees. Question on this assumption to you all is, have you understood this slide? Now the question is, when the price, suppose if the price of potato goes up from 10 rupees to 13 rupees per kg, that is an inferior commodity we are assuming is potato out here. Okay, what should be the reaction of the farmer? The question is, price of potato, that is the inferior commodity, goes up from 10 rupees per kg to 13 rupees per kg. How the consumption pattern changes? That is the question. Okay, Naveen, absolutely, you are very quick at it. Good. Consumption of what will increase, Udyan? Less meat on Sunday, very good. Meat usage stops, okay. More potatoes, okay. Anybody who says more of meat? Anybody? Oh, of course, that is more attractive. Anybody who says more meat? Okay, so I think most of you have understood the concept. I need not, I need not discuss it. It simply brings out the fact that when the prices of inferior commodity goes up, it is not the inferior commodity, it is the superior commodity which has to be sacrificed. Okay, that is what brings us closer to the fact that potato, which is an inferior commodity, its prices go up, its demand also goes up. Perhaps on a Sunday they might have to consume potatoes only. That means from 6 kgs it might go up to 6.5 kgs or 7 kgs as per what the decision that family makes. Okay, so it brings us closer to the fact that inferior commodities, keeping the income as constant, here we have kept rupees 100 as constant. If this 100 income 100 rupees had changed, then it would have been a different story altogether. But we are assuming that this rupees 100, that is the income, remains constant, and we conclude that for inferior commodities, when the price of inferior commodity goes up, these need to be replaced by superior commodities, and that is why the demand also goes up. It becomes an exception of law of demand. Then there are certain, the next point, that is the status goods, which is all about the commodities which are bought for the purpose, the only purpose, that is the status value derived out of it. Let us say MF Hussein's painting. Now if you ask me as a middle class person, then I may not be able to appreciate a painting which is sold in crores. For me it is just a combination of paint and brush, and an art form which I may not be able to really appreciate. But there is certain section of the society which buys such paintings. The reason being they derive the status out of it. The higher the value, the higher status they derive out of it. So there are certain status goods like again I'm repeating, paintings, antique pieces, diamonds, or we can say certain vintage cars, or certain items for which the higher the price for these products, okay, the more value the customers derive out of it. Obviously we are referring to that section of the society which is not price sensitive, rather they want to shell out more money in order to derive more status out of it. So for these commodities also we can say the higher the price, the higher the demand for these commodities. Next comes the yes, demand will decrease. Absolutely correct, because they will not buy it. They buy it for the purpose of the snobbish appeal. It is also known as snob appeal, snob items or snob goods. Then we talk about, say, share markets. Of course, if we talk about the purpose of shares, see, the shares are a method, that is by which organizations collect public money. They invest that money in their organizations and redistribute the profits or the earnings to the public. That is what is the fundamental of shares. But again, shares can be bought for two purposes. One is to have regular income flowing from the shares, or another one can be to trade the shares in the market. So when we are talking about the share market as an exception of law of demand, I'll talk about more about the trade that takes place. We have all the Sensex, BSE, NSE and all, which is all about where these shares are traded. Okay, now this trading also helps public to earn money, okay, by selling, by buying the shares at a particular price, selling it at a particular price later on. That is what is we term as trading of shares, and that is what fundamentally share market is all about. It is a market which is driven by sentiments. It is a market which is driven by future expectations, and it is a market which at times is bullish or at times is bearish. Bullish sentiments means where public is optimistic that in future for certain shares the prices are going to go up. Okay, so even in the case when the prices of shares are going up, they start buying those shares in anticipation that in future these prices are going to go further up. Okay, they buy such shares. What happens in the case when the market is bearish and when the prices of the shares are coming down? People start selling it off. Why do you think they start selling it off? The reason is they are pessimistic, they have no future expectations, prices coming down, even the demand for the shares come down. Okay, so we can say even the share market, when it is bullish and bearish, it behaves as an exception of law of demand. Prices for shares going up, demand goes up, expecting that in future the demand is further going to go up in the market. Okay, is it understood, or I explain it further? Is it understood or I explain it further? I think it is understood. Okay, all of us are more or less aware about. Okay, now next I'm coming to a very important concept in economics which will bring us closer to the practical aspect of it. Before we go to the parallel shifts and all, there is a slight understanding that you all need to have. What is the difference between individual demand and market demand? Here, as you can see, for a particular product from price 10, 8, 6, 4, 0, so on so forth, the demand by individual A, individual B and individual C is respectively 420, 840, so on so forth, and market demand is a combination of all three, that is A plus B plus C, so that is 6, 12, 20, 28, 36, 44. I think this table is clear to everybody. Is this table clear? So ABC is all about individual demand, and when we combine all these three demand, that results in what we term as market demand, assuming that in the market there are only three consumers for a particular commodity. This can happen in the case of industrial products, okay, where products are being catered to various industries. Let us say there is a product for which only three consumers are there, three industries are there, three organizations are there, A, B and C, and this is the resultant of when we draw a graphical representation for A, B and C, where DC is demand for C, DB is demand for B, DA is demand schedule for A, and DM is market demand. I think it is a combined, it is an integration of individual demands, Mega. DC plus DB plus DA results in DM. Okay, total demand is the sum. Okay, that is just a theoretical description, don't worry, it's just theoretical. Okay, price cannot be zero actually. Okay, oh my god, lunchtime, I never was aware of the lunchtime. What about my lunchtime? See, okay, so when we'll have the next break, that is the time you can have your lunches. Okay, see, price here remains the same. The one, anybody who has not understood, here this graphical representation has been worked out. Price on y-axis, as you can see, and commodity demanded on x-axis. So based on A, B and C, their demand schedules have been worked out, and then demand schedule for market demand has been worked out. Okay, is this graph clear? I'm also feeling hungry now. Okay, is this graph clear? Okay, that's great, that's great. Okay, so these are some of the factors which affect market demand, which we have already discussed. That is consumer income, price, substitute complementary goods, population credit facility, so on and so forth. These are out of this, demonstration effect is one such effect which also can lead to demand for certain products. Like when TV was initially introduced, television in 1980s, then it was more of the demonstration effect that people, those who were having it, others were attracted towards this product because they could see that others were using it for their entertainment, and they also bought that particular product. So then when that demonstration effect is in view, then we we can say that that also becomes one of the determinants of market demand. Okay, NG is normal good. Here consumer income, how consumer income can affect normal commodities, luxurious commodities, inferior goods, okay, and essential commodities. Okay, so these are all the types of commodities. Normal goods are some general goods that we consume. Luxury goods, like earlier it used to be that car used to be a luxury with all of us. It no longer is a luxury, it is a normal good now. Yes, IG is inferior commodities. How, when income goes up, what happens to the demand for inferior commodities? It automatically comes down. So if for the Ireland people, if consumer income goes up, okay, poor families, if their income go up, then they will be consuming more of the meat. Okay, so that is inferior commodities. ECG is essential commodities. That was there. I am not going too far in this because it is not there in your current study material. It was there in the study material that we used to distribute early. Okay, what? ECG is essential commodities. ECG is, yeah, is essential consumer commodities. Okay, now I am coming to a very I am coming to now, Vineet, focus on this. Okay, I is inferior, E is essential. There is a difference. L is luxury, N is normal goods. Okay, now I will be talking about a very important concept, that is movement along and shift in a demand schedule. This is a very important concept. All of you need to understand it very clearly, because this will bring us closer to the practical scenarios. Okay, see, I am going to ask you this question. Suppose I will draw a graph here on whiteboard and I ask you this question, that suppose there is a demand schedule, okay, on which again the standard thing is that on y-axis we take prices and on x-axis we take quantity demanded. Okay, the question to you is, suppose price in the market changes from one level to another level. That is, let us say price in the market changes from 5 rupees to 6 rupees. Okay, where all you will find the changes? Where all you will find the changes? Is the change along the curve? Demand schedule, curve or a demand schedule, it is one and the same thing. Is the change along the curve? There is a change that you can see, what we term as along the curve in the demand. Okay, am I right? Okay, along the curve the change is there in the demand. Okay, am I right? Now whenever Megawatt you didn't understand? See, I am saying that whenever price changes from 5 rupees to 6 rupees, it brings along a change. It brings a change along the curve. If at 6 rupees, for example, the demand is 100 units, then at 5 rupees the demand will come to, let us say, 120 units. Okay, so there is a change along the demand schedule. Okay. Now, this brings us closer to the fact that whenever price in the market changes, the changes will be there only along the curve. Okay, but in a market situation, again a question to you all, do you think it is the only price that keeps changing? What about other factors that we have already discussed in our demand expression, where we said that demand is a function of price, it is a function of income, it is a function of substitute, it is a function of complementary commodities, it is a function of infrastructure, so on and so forth. See, we have discussed this equation also, this expression also. Okay, so now the question to you guys is that we have already discussed price and demand here. Do you think it is not only the price and other factors also change in the market, like government policy, substitute commodities availability in the market, so on and so forth? Okay, so the next discussion that I am going to do is all about that what happens when other factors affect demand in this situation. Okay, now it says that whenever factors, this is the fundamental, which says that whenever factors other than price affect demand. Okay, now to give you this example, I will to make you understand this, I will give you an example. Okay, now the example is, I will take this example of 26th July 2006 in Mumbai. Okay, I think as I am already aware that most of you are not from Mumbai, but still I am going to use this example. It is one of my favorite ones. On 26th July 2006, there was a heavy rainfall in Mumbai, and due to a combination of heavy rainfall and high tide, there were floods that were there in Mumbai. And to discuss this situation, we will take into consideration the demand for a product like Bisleri water, or what we term as mineral water. Okay, now to talk about this example, what I will say is that suppose at that particular time, the Bisleri water that was available in Mumbai was at 10 rupees. Okay, and there were, let us assume that some 7 lakh people who were regular users of Bisleri water in Mumbai. Okay, now because of this natural calamity, okay, what happened in Mumbai was there was contamination in the water, and suddenly, because in the taps also we were not having filtered water, the demand for mineral water had gone up. Okay, one case was that there were more than 7 lakh people who were ready to pay, let us say, 10 rupees for the same mineral water because of a natural calamity. Or another thing, we can say that those 7 lakh people were ready to pay higher prices than rupees 10. Okay, now both the effects bring us closer to the fact that whenever factors other than price affect demand, they bring about a parallel shift in the demand schedule. And in Mumbai, let us say that demand for mineral water in the coming week was, let us say, was fixed at, let us say, in Mumbai after 26 July. I'm just uh, giving you an example which might not be correct, but it is indicative of what was the phenomena. At 40 rupees per bottle, and there were, let us say, uh, there were nearly about 20 lakh people in Mumbai who actually started consuming 20 lakh people in Mumbai who actually started consuming mineral water that day. Okay, so as a combined effect, what economists say is that whenever factors other than price affect demand, they bring about a parallel shift in a demand schedule. Whereas when we talked about this example, what we can infer from this is that the prices had gone up and even the demand for the product had also gone up because of a fundamental natural factor that affected the demand. Okay, Naveen, here this is just a controlled example where I am not assuming what actually happened, what was the supply factor, how many companies were operating, what inventory they had, how much they were able to supply in that situation where all the transportation came to a halt. These are many fundamental things that happened that day. Okay, but I am only coming to two variables I'm talking about. One is price and demand, and I am using this example just to highlight one point, that is a factor other than price. In this case, it is natural calamity can increase demand and price both in the market. Okay, and it is bringing about a positive parallel shift in the market. Okay, so I'm trying to explain the parallel shift. In this case, it is a positive parallel shift because of a factor that is a natural calamity, and these factors keep on changing in market. That is why in market situations these parallel shifts are a regular phenomena. Is it clear? Everybody, I'm asking. This is a very important concept, because on this concept we will be covering up many theories. Nishant, please check your own in. Demand was due to necessity. Yes, but there was a parallel shift. Okay, here what I'm trying to bring you closer to, that the combined effect is what results in what we term as a positive parallel shift in a demand schedule from, let us say, this was the original demand D to D1. Okay, that is where it fixed at rupees 50. Yes, very good, Vineet. You have asked me a negative. So when we talk about a positive parallel shift, it is towards upward right hand side, as you can observe. Okay, next I'm going to talk about, for the same example, I'll take into consideration another aspect. Suppose after 3 days there is a publicity in the newspaper which says that even the mineral water that is being supplied in the market is contaminated. It is more contaminated than the tap waters. There is bad publicity about it. Then there are chances that the demand for for mineral water may have a negative shift, which is known as a negative parallel shift. Here the factor will be bad publicity or contamination of mineral water and its publicity that can result in negative parallel shift. Okay, so a negative parallel shift, as you can observe, is towards the left hand side, downwards towards left hand side. Okay. Anything that you all want to discuss, share with me right now, or I move on? Yes, Prashant, good. Yes, that is what I'm trying to conclude with this entire discussion. I'm trying to come up with something which is all about dynamic nature of market scenario, where these factors like natural, government policies, income levels of consumers, substitutes, and other commodities, these keep on changing. Okay, because of these changes in the market, in these factors, there is something what we term as parallel shifts, which are observed in market, and these parallel shifts can be either positive or negative. Okay, so that is what is this discussion actually brings us closer to the fact that what happens to demand situation when when factors other than price affect demand. Is it clear? That is the prerogative of the organization. When it does this analysis, it can use various surveys, various research, and based on that they can analyze the situation of parallel shifts. Of course, these happen along with the data that is collected and researched out by the organizations or the economist. Okay, so determining again itself is a process which might use various activities, various systems that are developed in an organization or by a researcher. Okay. Okay, Kiran? Yeah, this can result. This can apply to any product. This can apply to any services. It can apply anywhere. This is a fundamental. Positive and parallel shifts are a phenomena in a market situation. Okay. So this is just again a briefing of when again I'm reading it. Whenever price as a factor affects demand, it brings movement along the demand schedule. Whenever factor other than price affect demand, there is a parallel shift in the demand schedule. In that case, for an exception of law of demand, only the difference will be there will be a positive slope in the demand schedule, Udyan, which also can have positive and negative parallel shifts. Okay, in that case, when you will carve out a curve, then it will be having a positive slope, Udyan. Am I clear? Okay. Only the difference will be it will be a positive slope curve. Okay. So this is very important. This is just depicting these parallel shifts. Theoretically, you can say a parallel shift can be shown for a non-linear curve also. Here the demand schedules which are being discussed are non-linear in nature. See, a demand schedule can be a linear or it can be a non-linear. It all depends on the kind of product, how it behaves in the market, that it can have a linear demand schedule, that is a straight demand schedule, or it can have a non-linear demand schedule. This graph is typically representing a non-linear relationship between price and demand. That is why it is showing curves, okay, as you can see, or it can be straight also, that I have drawn. Okay, both are correct. आप इस पे फोकस करो. Okay, so I am coming to the next slide. Focus here. Coming to the next slide. Okay, based on this fundamental, we'll talk about law of supply for some 30 minutes. Then I'm going to start off elasticity as a fundamental. Okay. Now see, we have only talked about demand here. Now I will be talking about the supply. See, some of you had some questions in your mind. What happens to supply? So now we will be discussing supply as a as a fundamental. Now when I talk about, say, supply, you all have to put yourself in the shoes of a supplier. You have to put yourselves in the shoes of a manager who is supplying the product in the market. Okay, and you have to think from that point of view, and then possibly you will be in a better position to understand this concept of supply. Okay, first, if I ask you this question, what is supply? Okay, supply is nothing but making the product available in the market. Okay, a market comprises of demand, supply, price of the product. There are consumers who demand the product, there are suppliers who supply the product, consumers buy the product at a particular price. That is what is the conceptual view when we talk about, say, what is law of supply. Again, supply. Market supply is the quantity of a commodity that all firms producing and selling it offer for a sale at a given price per unit time. That is the fundamental definition for supply. And on a very similar basis to what we discussed about that demand can be affected by various factors. Let us determine that what all are the factors that can affect or determine the supply that is done by a particular organization. So if we discuss, I'll be giving you a break now. I'll be giving you a break. So during the break, you have to, no, I'm not talking about cars here. I'm talking about in general. So in general, I'm asking you that what all are the factors which can affect supply? I'm asking you in general. Suppose any organization is there. So what all are the factors which can affect supply? So this goes as a question. Yes, transport is there. I've just put it like that so that you give me how to improvise it. So that you don't stop using your brains. That is why I make so many mistakes in my slides also. Inventory, yes, everything. Yeah, good answers I'm having. It's not only these three. There are so many factors, and deliberately I have not put in. See, you will all derive a very good satisfaction after telling me, ma'am, you don't know even this much also. So see to it how much satisfaction you all will derive. There are so many things. There are so many other factors which actually can affect supply. I can say strike in Maruti had affected its supply in the market. So that also can be one of the factors. Strike by the employees, the workers. Okay. So there can be other factors also. Environment, loan. Loan it gets from the market, of course it can have an impact on its raw materials and all. Yes, natural calamity also, yes, Kiran. Capital availability, okay. Disruptions, yes. Failures, technical failures, government policies, yes, you are absolutely correct. So here exactly at 3 o'clock I'm taking a break now. The break is now on, but you can still keep on thinking about it, and we will use the same fundamentals that we have used for law of demand for this. Meanwhile, supply demand I think थोड़ा बहुत हम लोग को clear है. So I am again displaying this case study for you. Just try and analyze the situation again from demand, cost, supply, product point of view. What is the product, what is the supply, how it can be supplied in the market, what is the demand, uh, how its inputs are being designed, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, in these 10 minutes, you all can, eat also something, and you all have made me hungry too. So I am displaying this case study again. So Chetan is enjoying, huh? Okay, so I'm displaying it. Meanwhile, for next 10 minutes, I will be not available for any comments. Uh, Let me see, Kanan. You all start having it right now. Your clock starts now. So a negotiated value could be 15 minutes. So all of you have your lunch. You all are sitting at home, so you can have it. Okay, break is over for me. So there are soccer matches. I viewed Barfi yesterday. Just to share with you all, it's a nice movie. Some general talks. One time watch. Okay. So a good one. Good concept. Good screenplay, everything. So that is how all of you also have to economize since your Sundays are busy. You should try and maximize your relaxation during Saturdays if you have Saturdays as an off. So again, that is how you can work out for your schedules nowadays when you are busy on Sundays. And of course, Sunday evening has to be dedicated to the preparation of the next week. So the best time is Saturday evening or maybe Friday evenings if Saturday is an off for your relaxation and entertainment. Of course, that is also a must for a balanced life. It is an absolute must. Okay, coming back to the discussion, I think all of you have seen this case study. I think you have read it also. Few fundamental things that are a part of this case study are this is a case study related to Mr. Uttam Kumar, who wants to come up with the product that is animation, and he wants to do it as a joint venture with the main aim of, what is the aim that he has? What is the main aim? Yes, the main aim is corporatize animation. The reason being, when you figure it out, in India, it is the entertainment industry is highly unorganized. Okay, so the main aim is to organize it to ensure that it is it is dealt in a very corporate manner. Okay, that is one of the basic criteria, and based on that he has identified that in his animation what what offers should be made so that it is more attractive to the children. That is, come up with a new character like Mickey Mouse and all, which is more suitable for Indian scenarios. So there are various ideas behind the offering, that is the animation, the cartoon series that he wants to prepare. And of course, when it comes to the inputs, then the inputs that this product requires are basically the technical part. Then artists are very important. There is a discussion about that the fact that these two inputs, artists and technicians should have an artistic bent, because they will be able to understand artists better. When they are able to do that, then only they will be able to produce the required the expected quality in the graphics and all. So there has been discussion about inputs, there has been a discussion about how production takes place, there has been a discussion about the demand of the product, how it can be increased or how it can be tapped in Indian scenarios. So this is what is this case study all about. What I'll be doing is I'll be sending this case study to Tushar. He will distribute it to you guys. You can again visualize it and try and analyze these situations. what are the cost factors, so on and so forth. So with this I will be coming back to our main discussion of supply as a topic. As you all are aware that it is only that paucity of time that I have to be my speed has to be slightly better. The reason being that we have only 12 hours that have been given to us. Okay, so I'm coming back to the supply as a factor. What can be law of supply? Okay, so Vineet, actually when we talk about in market situation, practically yes, but theoretically we study these two as a separate concept, and then we combine the two. Practically yes. Okay, so out of the various factors that you all also have identified, like somebody out of you said government policy, then you said natural calamity, you said other factors, even infrastructure, the transportation or the distribution that is being used by the organization, that also forms an integral part of the supply of any organization. So there can be many factors that affect supply. Out of that, one of the factors which has been keenly again observed by economists is price. Okay, that is where the entire economics revolves around, that is price. So now what will be coming into your mind is why price. I mean, you can talk about price when we talk about demand, but why are we talking about price when we are talking about suppliers? Okay, now let us start thinking from the point of view of a supplier, the psychology, the psyche. Okay, the psyche of a supplier is that they will like to supply more at a higher price. They will like to supply less at a higher price. Am I right? Am I right? I mean, if you are a supplier in the market, what is your aim? Your aim is to earn money. Your aim is to earn profit. Okay, so obviously you will want. I am only talking about intentions out here. I am not talking about what actually happens in the market. I am talking about the intentions. The intentions are you will like to supply more when the price is high. You will like to supply less when the price is low. Am I right? Okay. Yes, earn a heavy profit. All of us will want to do that. We will want to supply more goods at a higher price. Less good में मजा नहीं है because profit नहीं है. In price only you get profit. Yes, Vineet, there can be certain people who do not agree. That is also correct. The reason being, you will take into consideration fundamental things in the market. You will feel that if I keep the prices low, I'll have more demand, and so on and so forth. So actually what happens in the market is a different thing altogether. I am here only speaking about intentions. Intentions. Okay. So intentions will be to supply higher at a higher cost, supply lower at a lower cost. Okay, I'm only talking about intentions beneath here. Okay, what happens in the market, that is a different and separate story. Okay, so what can be law of supply? What can be law of supply? When law of demand, you all understand that demand is a function of price and there is an inverse relationship. Then an inverse, a completely opposite scenario, what can be law of demand? Dinakar, what you have said is all about cost, that we will be analyzing this concept in the cost part. What is law of supply? Keeping all other factors as constant. It is again very much similar to law of demand. In law of demand, we say keeping all other factors as constant. When we consider the relationship between demand and price, that is that there is an inverse relationship, that is law of demand. So law of supply is also same. It is supply is equal to function of price. Yes, it is going to be a positive relationship. Absolutely correct. Okay, so according to law of supply as given in the second sentence, there is a positive relationship between supply and price, considering the case that suppliers will intend to supply higher at a higher price, lower at a lower price. Okay, so with this note, I am giving you a data here. Please open up your notebooks. In this data, as you can see, price, demand and supply. So all you are supposed to do is make a graphical representation for this. Okay, and you have to take use of the same standard situation, where on x-axis you have to take price and on y-axis you have to take quantity. It can be quantity demanded or quantity supplied. Take 2 minutes time and prepare the graphical representation for this given data in your notebooks. In your notebooks, yes. Please do that. I'm giving you 2 minutes time. On y-axis price, on y-axis price, and on x-axis take quantity, that can be quantity demanded or quantity supplied. Make a schedule for demand and make a schedule for supply, and do it fast. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I'll display the same. I'm really sorry, I'll display the same. Yes, oh yes, that is exactly the analysis that we are going to do, Om Prakash. Please make it. Are you all doing it? Okay, done. Very good. It's very simple also. There's nothing in it. Once you complete it, type done in your chat boxes so that I'm aware that all of you are doing it. 1 more minute to go. Okay, good, great. No, you have to make out a demand schedule and you have to make out a supply schedule. Yes, there is a cross. It is more of a cross. So assuming that all of you have done it, I am coming to my graph. Good, great. So economics is not that boring, right? It's not a boring subject. Yes, Vineet, absolutely correct. Okay, your graph is something like this. My graph is slightly disfigured, so I'm not so good in this. So, okay, your graph is like this. Now, this is demand schedule. And see, number one thing that all of you need to remember is this situation is known as a market equilibrium situation. Now, why this is known as a market situation, market equilibrium situation, that also I'll let you know. Okay, so all of us have received a graph like this, which is a cross. Supply is a positive slope curve and demand is a negative slope curve. And at rupees 400, I guess, as per the data that we have taken forward, it is at rupees 400 that demand is equal to supply. Am I right? Rupees 300. Okay, okay, okay. So at rupees 300, we have a situation where demand is equal to supply. This point where demand is equal to supply is known as market equilibrium point. Okay, and this is the price, that is 300 rupees, is known as equilibrium price. The reason being it is known as an equilibrium price is, see, equilibrium is a state where everything balances out. Here, when we talk about a situation where demand is equal to supply, whatever is being supplied in the market, it is demanded in the market. Excuse me. It is the best situation. The reason being, there will be no inventory cost that is involved in it. Rest, any situation in this graph can result in, like for example, I give you one another situation where if I talk about, say, price more than 300 rupees. Okay, in that case what will happen is the demand will be lower than the supply. In this situation where price is more than rupees 300, demand will be more than the supply. Okay, and in the second situation, demand will be, if I take price less than 300, okay, demand will be more than supply. Am I right? Now, in both the cases, when supply is more than demand and supply is less than demand, it is an equilibrium state. The reason being, when supply is less than demand, then also one has to increase the demand in the market in order to ensure that it is able to meet up the demand in the market. Okay. Please excuse me, I need to have a sip of tea in between. Just excuse me for a minute. Is this clear? So this price is known as equilibrium price. Okay. Now, is this clear, everybody? I'm waiting for your answers. Once you all say yes, then only I move on. Okay. I don't think so there is any problem in this. Okay. The problem will be, see, here we have only talked about price and what effects it has on supply and demand. But again, it is not only the price that is existing in the market. There are other factors also. One more thing, I think this question should have come from your side only. Do you always find that in the market, whatever prices for commodities are existing, they are all at equilibrium prices? This is my question to you. What is your thinking? No. Yes, absolutely correct. See, whatever prices that are existing in today's world is not what is equilibrium price. Theoretically, what we say is equilibrium price is a very good idea, but the reason that there are many other factors that are taken into consideration while pricing, for example, government, no matter what is the equilibrium price for food grains, it keeps the prices at a lower end. Okay, no matter what is the equilibrium price. Or there can be a certain organization which will want to extract profits from the market, like iPhone. Whatever is the equilibrium price, they will like to keep at a higher price the product when they launch it. So not always that this equilibrium price exists in the market, but fundamentally economists say that when there is no interference by I'll say entities in the market, then when the situation is that the product is only driven by demand and supply, then in that situation product will finally come to an equilibrium state where the price gets connected to the equilibrium price, where the price that is fixed in the market is equilibrium price. So we say that when market forces of demand and supply affect the price, only demand and supply and nobody else, then the prices that will be fixed in the market will be equilibrium price. But when we talk about a practical situation, it is so many factors, there are so many other factors which are available, which are there, which have an impact on the price. So not always that we find that it is the equilibrium price that exists in the market. What exists might be higher or slightly lower than whatever is the equilibrium price. Yes, you can say that, but overall when we analyze it, Ritesh, it is, we have to see it from the point of view of a market situation. What happens in a market, what leads to an equilibrium price in the market, what leads to a situation between demand and supply, which can be termed as a balanced situation. So that is what no, Vineet, government gives subsidies on petrol, diesel and so many products in the market where it keeps it at a lower end. There can be certain reasons government keeps it, subsidy it gives you. Okay, so not always that it is higher than the equilibrium price. There can be certain reasons for it. So that is the reason where government keeps it lower, Vineet. Okay, another point that is coming to my mind is, since we've already talked about supply and what affects supply, so on and so forth, right now we discussed about parallel shift in the demand schedule. Can a parallel shift happen in a supply schedule also? Question to you guys. We said that yes, that is subsidy. So prices can be lower than equilibrium prices also. Yes, now the question is, can there be parallel shifts in the demand schedule? For example, suppose let us talk about Maruti out here. I mean, all of you can understand this, relate to it. Maruti had employees strike, workers strike, and there was some problems also. Oh, sorry, this is supply. So yes, my question is, can there be a positive and negative parallel shift in the supply schedule? Okay, now with this we need to analyze what is a positive parallel shift and what is a negative parallel shift. Okay, so that is the question that I am going to ask you. Suppose this is the original supply schedule. I am making two other supply schedules, S1 and S2. You have to tell me which is a positive parallel shift and which is a negative parallel shift. Use your logic. S1 and S2. Can you all see? Tell me which is a positive parallel shift in supply, which is a negative parallel shift. S2 is positive or negative, S1 is positive or negative. Kapil, rework on your concept. S2 is positive or S1 is positive? Okay. Okay, good, great. I think most of you can understand. No. Great, great, great. So I think all of you, anybody who's not understood this? Anybody who has not understood now will understand this. See, if I say at a particular price level, P is price, okay. S2 pay, the quantity supplied goes up. S1 pay, the quantity supplied goes down at the same price, as you can see. Okay, so now can you understand this? At S2 level, the quantity is on x-axis. Gauri? So supply is more. Can you understand this now? What about others? Okay, so those who have understood, fine. Those who have not understood, please try and make yourself clear about this concept on your own self. I think this okay. So there can be, what I'm trying to tell or infer from this is, see, there can be positive and negative parallel shift due to factors in demand and supply both. Okay, so that is where, you know, when we talk about, say, suppose market equilibrium is at 300 rupees and there is a parallel shift in the demand schedule, then in that case what will happen? The market equilibrium will also shift from rupees 300 towards an upward side. So what I'm trying to bring you closer to the fact is that due to this changes in other factors which brings in about a parallel shift in the demand and supply schedule, even the equilibrium price also changes. Okay, like for example, if this blue line depicts a positive parallel shift in the demand schedule here, then the equilibrium price will change from point A to point B. Okay, and the dynamics of a market is absolutely there. Okay, so that is where when we all say demand change ho gaya, supply change ho gaya, price change ho gaya and all that stuff, it is the net combination of demand, supply, changes in price, the parallel shifts in demand and supply, which actually is reflected in the price changes. Okay, so we all actually use these concepts when we analyze certain situations. Demand change ho gaya, supply change ho gaya, this change ho gaya, that change ho gaya, and then we possibly finally come and arrive at certain points that where prices have either gone up in the market or prices either have gone down in the market. So all these concepts are actually used by decision makers when they sorry when they arrive at certain situations of parallel shifts. Okay, is it clear, everybody? Okay. Okay, assuming that this is clear, I have 15 minutes to go. I will not go beyond it because you all are loaded with other subjects, and this is a slightly heavy subject to handle. So I will be just taking next 15 minutes of this class, that is till 4 o'clock. Kiran, there can be certain factors which lead to higher supply of a product in the market. Yes, it has to be due to organization's growth only. See, for example, organization decides to increase its supply in the market. Okay, or it can happen, see, supply can increase and decrease, like for example, food grain items, as per, as per whatever is the weather conditions, supply can increase or decrease. Okay, if, the weather conditions are good, supply might increase. If weather conditions are down, supply might decrease. Om Prakash, see, when you will consider all these factors like government, yes, price, that is where we say that when demand and supply changes, like in Maruti Suzuki case, when there was a strike, supply came down. Supply for food grains can go up if there is good monsoon. So supply can increase or decrease as per whatever are the conditions that are there. Like for example, if we talk about 26 July in Mumbai, then supply by mineral water suppliers must have increased that day. They must have supplied more in the market. Whatever inventory stock they had, they must have supplied in the market. So supply increased. It is highly situational. There is a question that if supply increase or decrease, what impact it will have on Kiran. See, Kiran, if markets are totally driven by demand and supply, then it will have an impact on price. But if there are other factors that affect the pricing, the strategy of the organization, or maybe the strategy of the government in pricing, and other factors which have a dominant role to play in the pricing, then prices might not shift. Okay. There can be a time lag between the shift in the prices. It all depends on, see, what I'm trying to tell you out here is, that is a strategy, Naveen. That is a strategy that can be an organizational step. But यहाँ पे जो हम concept की बात कर रहे हैं नवीन, it says when markets are only driven by demand and supply, then price should be equilibrium price in the market. Naveen, I have already told you, this is something, a fundamental concept that we are analyzing. What organization chooses to do is totally the prerogative of the organization. See, Kiran, we are talking about the market situation. We are not talking about supply, what drives supply or what drives demand. Here the point of view is the market. Market mein what is happening to the price. Any other questions? This is an ideal state which should be there. It might not be there because organization choose a different path. Yes, any other questions? I am just looking forward to your questions here. And Kiran, market comprises of demand and supply both. That is what is a market all about. So we are analyzing a market equilibrium state.